The Ocho, year 8. It's been fantastic doing these podcasts for 8 years. Here we are. It's the process. Time to get rolling. No more time to delay. You all know who I am. I'm Ralph. I've been doing this solo dolo all this time, so no need for further introduction. But if you are new to the podcast and you aren't sure what we do here, the mantra is learn, scout, win, repeat. There's a lot of people that want to play fantasy football. Maybe don't have the time to do the research for it. That's what I'm here for. I will do the research, pour it out so that we can come here on a weekly basis and learn, scout, win, repeat. We're going to take this information that we get and we're going to apply it to our daily fantasy football teams and our seasonal fantasy football teams. We're going to climb the mountain week by week in seasonal. And in daily, every single week, I'll give you my picks. We'll talk about why I feel so strongly about those people, and we'll begin to win some money together. If you are interested in playing on some of those daily sites, but you think it's a scam, or you think it's too hard to do, or you think that it's rigged, this is for you. This is an avenue where we can talk about the safer games to play, the safer bets to make, and really maneuver around the snake that is that website to get what we want, which is profitability. Today, I'm proud to say I play for free on DraftKings at the moment. At the moment is a critical part of that sentence, because I'm just playing out of winnings, right? I'm playing with the house money. Just last week, we didn't have football yet, but just last week, finished first in the NASCAR 2K donut contest. So things like that, right? You can pad the lineup, but we're going to do what we do best, which is football. NASCAR is great. Baseball is even better. Football is king. So let's continue the process for season 8. And we're going back to our segments, if you will, our part of the shows that make sense for us with the way that we know how to do business. So what that means is, first up, would you rather? I literally go to fantasypros.com, and there are so many people that go to that website, and they actually ask this question, should I play this guy or that guy, right? So what we're going to get back to doing for this segment is going through the top 12 things that people have, asked a question about. And a lot of times it's like a repeat player or whatever. But let's just roll through to see what we have here. So for this week, and I'm just going to focus on the flex right here. I obviously could, do quarterback, wide receiver, tight end. And maybe that's what we'll do. Maybe next week we'll just do, would you rather for the quarterback or whatever, right? But it's going to be flex this week. So Courtland Sutton or Tony Pollard. Guys, I think I would much rather have Tony Pollard this week just because he's getting the core of the touches as the running back one there, first and second down back. I mean, even in the losing effort, he's going to see so much field and so much more ball than Sutton. He's not in a terrible spot, but we'll take Pollard here. If I just go down the row, David Montgomery, Travis Hunter. I'll take Montgomery. I don't believe Hunter is a bona fide wide receiver, and so it's just so weird that they're forcing him to play both ways of the ball. He's more of like a gimmick or, like a tchotchke on offense. It's just a thing, right, that they want to do so the NFL can have some sort of like Shohei Ohtani type moment, but truly his specialty is defense. And so all of this offensive, effort, I think is cool, but it's taking away the time from where he could truly be effective in the NFL. Think about Deion Sanders. They had a couple of wide receiver plays for him, but he was a cornerback, right? They want this guy to be 50-50. I'm not buying the wide receiver work yet at the NFL level, but I'm open to the interpretation that I could be wrong. David Montgomery in that one. And then Courtland Sutton or RJ Harvey. I'm going to take Sutton here just off the fact that Harvey's a rookie and we have high hopes for him. But those high hopes come later in the season as the season progresses, essentially. So what that means is we'll take Courtland Sutton. Aaron Jones or Courtland Sutton. I think the Vikings have a tough matchup against the Bears on Monday night, but I will still take Aaron Jones. I think, again, just being RB1, getting those touches and the opportunity to have the ball so constantly. He could outwork him easily. So if that's your flex conundrum, I think you need to go with Aaron Jones. Sorry. All right. Jerome Ford or Travis Hunter. In this one, I'm going with Jerome Ford. Again, told you my knock on Hunter. So, RB1 for Cleveland. Likely Jerome Ford. I'll take him. Amika Ibuka, the wide receiver for Tampa Bay, or Trevion Henderson, wide receiver, or the running back for New England Patriots, rookie running back. Same thing we're talking about over here with RJ Harvey. We need to talk about with Trevion Henderson, right? It's just a rookie. They don't put too much on these guys at running back in the first couple of weeks. Like as the season starts, they roll into it more. So, with that in mind, I think that Amika Ibuka could outperform him. Rookie wide receivers tend to do better out of the gate, so he has that going for him. All right, Ibuka or RJ Harvey? Ibuka. Deebo Samuel or Jalen Warren? I would like to say Deebo Samuel here. I think Jalen Warren has a place in the offense that we are being lied to about right now. I think it has to do with Caleb Williams and the Pittsburgh Steelers not wanting to put too much on him right away. They can have him third behind Kenneth Gainwell, but I'm not buying Warren or Gainwell, especially this this week against the defense that they're playing, actually. So they're going up against the Jets, and we'll talk about that when we get to reload that segment. But for my intents and purposes, I'm going to go with Deebo. Trevion Henderson or Tataria McMillan. I will take McMillan here, the wide receiver from Carolina. It's not that I'm like super high on him. However, the running back rookie dynamic thing is real and persists. Next one is DJ Moore or DeAndre Swift. And for this one, I'd say I'd have to take DeAndre Swift. Again, it's the running back getting the bulk of the touches here. And I don't think that the Ben Johnson offense in Chicago is going to be like in Detroit where they just split the backs completely every time. So I think Swift could get more of the touches here. But I think DJ Moore is in a good spot too. Don't get me wrong. Jacoby Myers or RJ Harvey? I'll take Jacoby Myers here. Interesting game with Vegas going to the Patriots. There's so many crossover stories here with McDaniels coming back to the Patriots. Pete Carroll coming back to the Patriots. Jacoby Myers. I mean, there's so many crossover stories. But the biggest thing here though is in this matchup, I'll take Jacoby Myers. All right, Matthew Golden or RJ Harvey. Green Bay wide receiver, I'll just take Matthew Golden, essentially. He should be able to be in the mix. It's not that Green Bay has a bunch of standout wide receivers in front of him. They got some guys out there, Reed, Dobbins, all that, right? But there's an opportunity for him to step in and be productive from day one. And again, the theme with this, would you rather this week is probably just that rookie running backs come along a lot slower than rookie wide receivers. That's just the nature of it. All right. Anybody out there looking to make a hire for their company? Do you need to find yourself a growth marketer? Or perhaps your company is looking for a CTO? Maybe you guys need a developer or an AI engineer. You guys should turn to Fraction.work. If you have a need that isn't full-time, why not hire the best people? And those are the people who are already working. Fraction has a dedicated pool of senior level individuals that you can buy time from, or you can buy productivity points from. And you can complete your project and essentially save on the bottom line as opposed to shelling out money for a top level talent that you probably can't afford if you're in a startup position. So if you want to maximize your dollar, get the best effort for the position, how about turning it over to Fraction? All right, time for us to hop over to Reload. And again, Cowboys 20, Eagles 21. This game probably isn't as close if Jalen Carter actually plays instead of spitting his way to sitting. The Cowboys did attack the interior of that defense, but the Eagles proved to be too much overall. Not a lot of weak areas on that squad. They didn't even dive deep into their passing bag. So, they conserved Barkley, but he still hit pay dirt. Guys, they're going to keep a lid on this dude all year based on, this record setting amount of rushing attempts that he had last year. Chiefs 21, Chargers 20. Reload. Chargers offense will be able to press the best defenses this year for sure. That's what we saw from this game. It's the Greg Roman offense in full effect. Roman came from Baltimore, so it should be no surprise to see how they're using Herbert. He came out the gate strong this week and put up stellar numbers due to his upside from rushing. His rushing, of all people. I was skeptical that it could work as an offense here with a much less mobile QB in Herbert. But last year we saw Herbert run more than ever in year one with Greg Roman. And again, his performance on Friday spoke for itself too. So the running game will have its days in the sun, and the tight end will play a key role here for this offense. Nothing beats familiarity. Also, nice to see the flashes of Keenan Allen of old. He and Herbert have undeniable chemistry, stemming back to Allen's first hit with the Chargers. Reload. Dolphins at the Chargers here. Sunday now. Tyreek Hill is an interesting play here in the slot, but I'm not sold on the rest of the passing game. Lou Anarumo will make his unit better in the secondary, but it's probably at the expense of safety help in the slot. Bang, Tyreek Hill, full stop. I know I don't seem like I'm not too overly interested in the run here, as the Colts are stout up front, and the Finns O-line is probably worse than whatever it needs to be bad. Other side of the ball, the Finns defense has been a bit depleted in the secondary, but they do get some help back at linebacker. You have Bradley Chubb coming back, and so the question has to remain, does he have enough left in the tank to anchor the edge effectively? I guess we're going to see. Danny Dimes over Richardson all day at QB for the Colts. So Michael Pittman and Jonathan Taylor are in play here. The RPO run pass option play should have beneficial results for at least one of these guys on Sunday. Two middle of the road teams. Give me the guys at home. Colts. Reload. Cardinals at Saints. Saints are a very good football team. Excuse me, not a very good football team. The biggest improvements this offseason for the Cardinals have been on defense. Gannon's Philly-themed defense is coming into focus, loud and clear. It's like, when you go to the optometrist, it's like it's less blurry, now it's more blurry, now it's less blurry. This is less blurry. But also adding Montez Sweat will do that for you. That's my bet here, though. Arizona defense, rather is the best of the bad group of QBs for New Orleans, so I have no choice but to see the writing on the wall. AZD and AZ backs to run the clock out. They should win, but weirder things have happened in the NFL. Reload. Raiders at Patriots. I think the Raiders may be the better team here, flat out. But that being said, the thing that jumps out to me here, we got a West Coast team traveling east to play a game that will feel like 10 a.m. to their bodies. And that's a real effect there, guys. The line is in favor of the Patriots. For my money, I do think it's asking a bit much. And considering the fact that everyone is expecting them to lean successfully on a rookie right out the gate from day one, I know we're asking a bit much here in week one. Ramondre, Hunter Henry, Drake May, tournament plays, Pats. Reload, Jets at Steelers. Rodgers for team blah, 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 blah. I mean, whatever. The real storyline for this game, here we go. Steve Wilkes will be running his wide nine defense here in New York as the coordinator for Aaron Glenn's guys. All you need to know is that means that the edges go way outside, okay? it'll help the pass rush, but it's going to hurt the run stop because you leave all that territory in the middle, essentially. Now, it does need to be noted that the Jets are hoping that the solution is Quentin Williams, who is a prolific run stuff guy in the middle. But he can't defeat the scheme. Steelers will use both Jalen Warren and Kenneth Gainwell, apparently. I was thinking Caleb Johnson when I initially wrote this up however long ago. But they'll use those two guys, and Warren is the more outside zone, outside guy, whereas, maybe they use Gainwell more on the insides, whereas I was hoping they were going to use Caleb Johnson. So maybe they use Gainwell that way. And, that being the case, those are the guys. That's the guy that you may want to focus on if you indeed want to go there. That's the place where the game will be decided. This is why I like, Gainwell. I think if I had to pick between the two backs, more over Warren this week, is just because with that defense, the soft spot is right in the middle. So it's really about whoever's going to get those touches. The Steelers D is real good. Pittsburgh wins, but I think Justin Fields puts up some crazy Justin-style garbage time plays to cover his point expectations. Reload. Giants at Commanders. Giants are overmatched in a lot of areas. I don't know what else to say. For season-long DFS, start Neighbors. But for DFS, let's maybe fade him. Dan Quinn is building up this little Legion of Boom here. So I don't know that I want to really attack them. Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin definitely in play. But how much will they need to do is the question, really. Washington D also in play. Their backfield for Washington is something that we'll have to keep an eye on. Like, we don't have a great handle on it right now, unless it really is Jacory in the 1 and 2 down position, in which case I don't want that. Because, again, rookie. He doesn't have enough talent or experience, for that matter, to be effective from day one. Debo will need to see some runs, is what I'm suspecting. And it seems to me that is the way that you hedge the running game. And the offensive coordinator for the Commanders is Cliff Kingsbury, a guy who has seen plenty of Debo as a former Arizona Cardinals head coach. So he knows exactly how to deploy this guy. Reload. Panthers at Cardinals. I don't know if I want to target the Panthers' run defense with Jacksonville here. They get Derek Brown back, and something tells me that the Panthers unit probably won't be a complete sieve against the run. But another problem persists. The Jaguars are determined to use Travis Hunter on offense. We're just talking about this, and would you rather? Like, every down is what they're saying, basically. So I'm sure he's good enough on defense, but on offense, I don't know. This is a novelty thing, like I said. So it's a pity, really, that they're going to waste this focus that he could be having on defense by shelling out all this time for offense. But it is what it is. But anyways, Brian Thomas, yeah, for sure. Chuba Hubbard, fine play also. But I don't want to have anything to do with Bryce Young in the passing game for the Patriots or for the Panthers. $1 million lineup flyer, if you want one of those, Xavier Legette. That does make sense, though. But I will take the Jaguars in this game. Bengals at the Browns. Joe Burrow is great, but he holds the ball and takes sacks. Like, we see that now. And that gets him hurt a lot of the time. Browns can get to the QB. They just paid Myles Garrett, and that effort starts with him in terms of getting to the QB. Keep this game for Cincy. Is going to be running the football to take the game out of the hands of the pass rush. We'll have to see if the Bengals O-line can hold up and propagate the run. I think that they can, and it'll open things up for Chase and Higgins. Tillman and Njoku stand out on the other side for me. Flacco will not embarrass himself. He'll be slightly better than serviceable. It'll be tougher than they want, but Bengals win on the road. Falcons at the Buccaneers. Reload. I don't trust either run game against either defense. Tampa has Vita Vea back, so until he misses time, you'll have no problems again, like with the run, stopping the run. But the outside zone will still be there a bit, in addition to some other options for the running back in the passing game. So they won't be blanked in terms of Atlanta's run game, but life would be easier for the Falcons if they threw it. $1 million lineup, flyer here for this team: Ray McLeod. London should be fine, but not outstanding. For the Bucks, same thing. Going through the air might be easier, but the Falcons have added like a lot of upgrades on defense. So we'll need to see it to kind of decide if we're still attacking them, because I'm not sure that we can attack this defense anymore. I didn't think they were terrible last year. They made a lot of upgrades. So I would need to see them before I decide to attack them. But this game feels gritty and close and low scoring. Bucks win. Reload, 49ers at Seahawks. The Seahawks are built to stop the run on defense. The secondary has a few issues just because not everybody fits the system perfectly. So that is the level that you need to attack the Seahawks at with your offense. The problem, though, I'm not sold that San Francisco has the firepower to do that. I mean, look at their receiving room, and no, I'm not a Jawan Jennings guy. So, McCaffrey going to play, I guess. So we'll see. They've had no shot to win otherwise. I'll say that. Now, on defense, the Niners have brought back Robert Saleh. They brought him back into the fold to run the defense. This unit, though, is a shadow of the ones that he's last worked with here, or anywhere else since, for that matter. They can be had. I like Kenneth Walker a lot here. Even Kupp, I think, is in play here. Darnold proved last year that we need to view him as serviceable at the very least, even with McCaffrey playing. The better team is probably Seattle by a bit. I'll take them at home. Reload, Titans at Broncos. New QB alert. Broncos defense is in a very favorable spot. And although we expect RJ Harvey to take over at some point, it wouldn't be right away. J.K. Dobbins should be the guy, but the Titans have three behemoths up front for their 3-4 defense. These guys literally tip the scales at a combined weight of 1,000 pounds, with each of them able to fill 2 gaps. So yes, they could plug 6 gaps alone. Attacking the edge would make more sense, but Tennessee saw that happen in them last year, and they went out and did something about it. They actually bolstered their linebacking room so to prevent such an effort. Passing is the easier route versus them, and I expect Sutton and Mims to be in play here. Broncos win. Lions at Packers. Reload. The Lions brought in help in the secondary. We know the big story with them is, again, they are without their coordinator coaches from last year. Aaron Glenn going on to New York, Ben Johnson going on to Chicago. I mean, that's what happens when you get good. You could ask, any of these good teams, about it, but that's what teams do. They start to pilfer off your guys, right? And so we're going to have to see if Ben Johnson leaving is as big of a deal for the Lions as some people think, or maybe it's not as big of a deal. But Lions and Packers, the Lions did bring in help in the secondary, so I don't think they'll be as bad as last year, but that continues to be the way that you might attack them, though. I like Jaden Reed, but I'm unsure of who else steps up for Green Bay. I know Golden's out there, like we talked about him and Would You Rather, but we'll see. Tougher day for Josh Jacobs versus these guys. On their side, Green Bay's defense was pretty much rounding into form at year's end. They held the Eagles to 22 points in their playoff game despite losing. So with the addition of Micah Parsons, I do think they will continue to build on that success as a unit. So I don't really want to attack them much if I don't need to go there. I prefer the run game for Detroit if I could. It's the only thing that Dan Campbell truly insists on, really, is that they always need to be able to run the ball. I will take the Pack in this game out. Reload, Texans at Rams. I don't know that the Rams defense inspires fear. Not saying that they're terrible or an iron curtain, but is somewhere in the middle, right? But let's go after them and see what we can get. That's what I think we should do, and let's do it with the passing game. Is the way that I think is the most susceptibility. Stroud, Collins, and Jaden Higgins, because you have Christian Kirk out, and you also have Tank Dell out too, and so you've got a bit of the injury bug in the wide receiver room. But that's just going to be good news for Jaden Higgins, who actually can step up. I believe he can step up. And so I love this opportunity for him. He's underpriced this week, so on DraftKings, like, we should go after that. But these are the guys we want to lean on. Not sure the team wants to hop on Nick Chubb's back. It's like he looked fine in camp, but let's not put too much on this guy, right? He needs to hold up until Mixon's return. And I like the Houston defense. I do. And actually, I'm sorry. He's got to hold up to Mixon's return, but Dameon Pierce is lurking out there, right? So that's another guy to consider for DFS this Sunday, because Chubb won't take all of the carries, right? Like, we just know that. So there's a lot of work to be had there. I like the Houston defense, so I don't want to attack them, but I can see Puka Nacua getting his, though, for sure. Definitely trust Stafford to find him, although I don't know about Devontae Adams, just because Stafford is more of a find his number one guy type guy. Like, he doesn't spread the ball around, but he can find his guy. And that just goes back to even to his days in Detroit. We have a long track record of watching him do that. So I know Devontae is going to be out there, but I'm just not sure. Kyron Williams is the guy on the ground here, but not this week. Guys, not this week for me. This should be a fun game. I'll take the Texans on the road. I think the defense is better than most are expecting. Reload. Ravens at Bills Sunday night. So last year, the Ravens throttled the Bills in Baltimore in September. The Bills were hoping to return the favor, and they were actually able to do that in the playoff game that those two teams played. Now, but the thing about that is, like, you didn't feel like they were going to win in the second half. Like, no snow, let me get the Ravens is what I'm saying this week, right? I do want to fire up Josh Allen, though. And, the supporting cast for Baltimore benefits from Buffalo's everybody eats mentality. So it's hard to point out, like, one receiver who's, going to get more looks than the others. But, we know that Allen's in play, and Lamar on the other side for sure. But Derrick Henry looks to be in play also, but that's really just down to what the Ravens want to do, essentially. It's like attack with the run and use both Henry and Lamar and just make your day suck, make your life suck, right? So, Flowers in play here also. Buffalo got that lick back in the home playoffs, but like I said, I think it swings back the Ravens' way Sunday night. And we'll reload for our final shot. Vikings at the Bears on Monday night. The Ben Johnson era has begun in Chicago. Way to attack the Vikings is through the air. Let's fire up Rome Odunze and DJ Moore. On the other side of the ball, the Bears turn to Dennis Allen to lead the defense, and they are definitely in good hands with that guy. This unit already had the pieces to fill out a Dennis Allen defensive team, and so this should just be a nice marriage between the two, essentially. J.J. McCarthy has a tough assignment here, and I'm not sure that the Vikings can get out of Chicago with a win. All right, that's our reload right there. Hope you guys enjoyed that, and that makes you more informative for your picks that you need to make. All right, moving on. As we get ready to go over our DFS picks, I want to give a shout out to the Downey Razorbacks, specifically the AAU 8U Downey Razorbacks, who beat the brakes off their opponents, the Chargers, today. Congratulations, guys. It was a hard-fought game, and good work by you guys. Really appreciate all the work you kids are putting into it. All right, let's keep it bumping over to DFS, and we're just going to go over my picks for the week here. All right, so essentially, what you see on your screen there, this is what I want to go with. I'll make a cash game lineup, and then I will, make a tournament lineup and talk about that in a second. But yeah, this is what I'm working with this week, guys, just to kind of put my cards on the table. And I think I'm turning to Stroud here, is what it looks like to me. I do have interest in that's Daniel Jones there at $5,100 at quarterback. Sorry, we're starting at quarterback, but Bo Nix, I think, is in a good spot. You can play him and feel good about it. I think some people may be thrown off by the price, which is another reason that I want to play him because I don't want high ownerability, right? Ownership, I should say. I want guys that are going to perform well but are low owned because that makes us different from everybody else. And there's so many people playing football on DraftKings. You need to be different. Like, yes, you need to be good. You need to get the most points, but you need to get it in a different way from most people are thinking. It's the part that will separate you as a player from the majority of society and put you in the stratosphere. So with that in mind, we have Knicks at 6,300. Stroud at 6K, full candor, probably my cash game guy, Stroud, to be honest with you. But I will take a flyer on Daniel Jones. I'm so interested in what that RPO can do, and I definitely want to like stack those guys and see how far I can get with it. But Joe Flacco down there at 4,900 if you want to save salary, like he's not going to 5X it, guys. Like, don't go wild with it. But it's like if you want somebody who can get you some bottom, at least a couple of points, like we know at least a couple of points, and then you can build up from there if you want to pay up with other positions, and that's the way you would do it. Wide receiver, Puka Nacua, who I mentioned earlier, I think is personally in a good spot. And I, again, think the price might scare some people off, but I want to roll with it. Brian Thomas feels cash game. I do want to get my hands on a little bit of Tyreek Hill. And actually, this is the sweet spot of receivers this week, if you ask me. Tyreek Hill, Mike Evans, Drake London, maybe down to no, I'm not going to say Jay Reed, but those guys right there, 1, 2, 3, like I feel like all my lineups like I have to have like one of those guys in it. And then we go down to Jay Reed at 5,400. Deebo Samuel, who I mentioned, is $5,200. So again, with that run bump, you want to kind of consider him too. Pittman at 4,900 for tournaments. Higgins, 4,800 for tournaments. Love these guys. And then Marvin Mims, who I mentioned in Denver, 4,500. And Corey Leggett, 4,200. And then Ray McLeod, 3,700. These are all pieces of a tournament play to me that could just slam you into the stratosphere. Obviously, we know that's just the one side of the roller coaster. The other side is they could be, through the basement in the bottom, right? At tight end, Kittle's in a good spot, 5,800 if you want to pay up. I don't know that I'll get there a lot because I like Njoku, probably the most on the slate, $4,700. He just feels right to me this week. And it just feels right with Flacco as well. I like Tillman too, but not nearly as much as Njoku or some of the other receivers that I've signified. But yeah, that's a smash button, smash that for me. And then Hunter Henry's in a good spot too at $3,900. I won't deny that. And then Okonkwo from Tennessee, I want to take a flyer there. I mean, rookie quarterback, like this guy's got to be looking for his checkdowns, right? $3,400 in the tournament seems like a right price for that. All right, running backs, Jonathan Taylor. I want to pay up for that. The Dolphins, like I said, this defense torn apart a little bit, man. I'm not buying it, and I'm saying this as a Bears/Dolphins fan. I'm just not buying it, right? So I do think that again in a tournament, I might just go ahead and play that RPO. I would play Jones, Pittman, and Taylor and put them together and build around that. That's how you have to win tournaments is by stacking members of the same team like that. And then because inevitably on Sunday, some offense is going to go off, right? And it's like, do I have all the pieces there? So those are the pieces. Brown, the running back from Cincinnati, Chase Brown, I want to be in on that $6,600. I think people are going to shy away from that price, especially because like they have the opponent ranking like good on DraftKings, which is whatever. It's like interns do that; they don't know. But I like that price. I do think again Cleveland has such a crazy pass rush, and with Burrow so susceptible to holding the ball, like getting hurt. It's like if I'm the offensive coordinator, let's take the pressure off of that situation by running it. So I really like Brown and what he offers there. James Conner at $6,100 feels like cash game to me. Chuba Hubbard, 6K. That's another good price. Definitely smashing in Kenneth Walker in the cash game. $5,900. I want that afternoon hammer. I will take that for sure. Tony Pollard at $5,700. Got no problem if you want to go there. Him or Walker, I paid the extra $200 for Walker, just to be quite honest with you. I'll give you some diversification by giving you Pollard, but every time you want to play Pollard, I play Walker this weekend. Ramondre Stevenson at $5,400. There's a break, right? So it's like if I want to pay $500 less from Walker, then you can slide down to Stevenson, and that does make sense to me, sure. Caleb Johnson was on the list, but again, this is when I had made this initially, and I just, I don't see him as really getting on the field, which is sad. So it's kind of like, could I just replace him with Kenneth Gainwell? You could, but I'm probably not going to do that. Instead, I wrote in this last guy, Pierce, at $4,700, who, again, Chubb's not going to take every single rep, right? Like, that's not possible. And if he breaks down, who's the next guy, right? And if Mixon can't come back, then who's the next guy, right? So it makes a lot of sense to be invested in him literally, this week, but even from a seasonal perspective too, because we just don't know. And then defense, you have the Broncos at $3,800, obviously a sterling play, but the Cardinals at $3,500 look pretty attractive. I don't think the Saints offer much of anything in the way of being a good team. And then I'll bottom out with the Seahawks at $2,500. They just allow me to get so much more creative in the flex. And so that's something that I want to consider. But guys, those are my DFS picks for the week. Hopefully that helps you guys as you round out what you're thinking. Finally, on to our housekeeping here. And we just have a few things, right? Number one topic for housekeeping. And housekeeping is where we're just going to kind of like make sure that we just talk about a few things. So we're all our heads are straight, right? Like we're getting the process straight. We're making sure that we're thinking about things straight, right? And so, the theme of housekeeping this week is week one. Just relax. I've seen folks all over the wire already, working here, working there, and it's like I've seen guys excessively dropping people that they've already drafted. And it's like we haven't really played football yet, right? So us here at the process, again, learn, scout, win, repeat. We know what's up, right? So don't act like noobs. Don't embarrass me. Let's stick to the game plan, which is essentially like relax this week. From a seasonal perspective, don't be all over the wire. Like just relax. That's really what this is about, season. Now, we turn to DFS for a moment in our housekeeping this week. We're going to just go over a couple of staple items. Not too much, right? Just like DFS, like Baby 101. You got to play single multiplier games. Like the thing that we want to hedge our bets on every week, the thing we want to hang our hats on, are cash games that are single multiplier. That's where we want to make our money because tournaments are the contests you guys are all thinking of. That's where it's like, oh, I could win $1 million, right? It's like so many people enter, and it's like, top 10 win or, one person wins, right? And they get you thinking about this grandeur of all the money you're going to win. But there are also contests on the website called double ups or 50-50s. And that's where essentially half of us will win our money. And so it's kind of like, can you win a lot less? Yeah, sure. Because you guys are thinking, oh, I'm going to put in $20 and win the millionaire maker, right? But it's like, you won't, right? But if you put in the $20 into a $20 double up with one multiplier, yeah, you can win $40. So that's not sexy to a lot of people, right? But what we want to do is play double ups, easily double our money, and then we want to play these tournament, more risky contests from our winnings. That's where we want to play. I'm not saying not to play those games. I'm just saying we want to play them from our winnings. So on a site like DraftKings, you want to be 70% cash games or double ups every week and 30% tournaments because we only want to play with tournaments out of our winnings, and we want to be able to afford to keep playing regardless of if we win or lose the tournaments. And so that's why we have the 70-30 split. Single multiplier refers to the number of lineups you can put in the contest. And so, like, you'll see this box, this little tiny box, and it'll have a white M and a number with it, right? M1 means one multiplier. I saw one today that says M17, M20. That means one person can put in 20 teams. We don't want to do that. You don't want to face sharks. You don't want to play people that can run an algorithm and put in 100 teams, right? Or whatever it may be. Some of those are multiplier 150s, right? And so it's kind of like you want to steer clear of that. One multiplier one means everybody has one lineup, right? So single bullet. So again, I take your advantage of having all these lineups or having, some lineup maker or whatever, and I make you decide to play one lineup, right? And you may say, well, that person's just going to play the optimal lineup from their little lineup maker. But so is everybody else. And so you're second guessing yourself at that point. Is that really optimal if other people are going to do it too? Or am I just playing myself into a weird tie, right? And so it comes back into our favor. So we always want to do single multiplier, cash game 50-50. That is our bread and butter. From there, we can venture into tournaments. And we'll, over the course of the season, talk about what those tournament games look like and, how we find those. But the last piece of the housekeeping puzzle, in keeping with the DFS, is going to be stacking. You're not going to win a tournament. You might win a cash game by just picking the best guys, but you're not going to win a tournament by simply doing that. You have to stack one team. It's a team that goes off. Nobody is good enough to pick the individual players that will be best in a week, but any one of us can pick a team, pick the best guys, and then if they go off, we can benefit from that. And so stacking is essentially the key to breaking these websites. And it's the first thing you need to understand in terms of how can we actually break through the roof and get the stratosphere money, right? And so, good stacks are going to look like quarterback, wide receiver, tight end, quarterback, wide receiver, quarterback, wide receiver, running back, defense. That's a good stack correlation. It's been proven mathematically. They've, researched it or whatever. But point being, if this is a new concept to you, get familiar with it because that's how you win at that level. If you want to wade into the daily fantasy game and it'll be your first time, just understand what the premise is. They give you a minimum entry that you can make. It's $5. I am teaching you guys how to play with the minimum and build up your empire from there. How not to give it back to them every week. That's all it is. All right, guys, I really appreciate you. Glad to be back here for season 8. Good luck to everybody tomorrow. Set those lineups. Let's go get it. And then we'll be right back here next week where we will learn, scout, win, repeat.